The Billary Show, starring Bill and Hillary Clinton, hit Toronto recently, and I attended this affair so that you didn't have to. You're welcome. You know, my first moral issue attending a Clinton event was trying to keep yet more money from going into that bottomless pit known as the Clinton Foundation. So I decided to buy a ticket from a scalper. That way I'd be purchasing a ticket that had already been paid for. Well, first things first, can a ticket reseller truly be called a scalper if he's slashing prices as opposed to marking up the merchandise? Because given that the Scotiabank Arena was only filled to 16.6% capacity, according to one report, scalpers were still in Black Friday mode. Check it out.
Tickets worth $175 at 10.
It was worth $175 10 minutes ago, but it's
I'm not going to give it to you for $50, sir.
No? What's your rock bottom?
$80.
80? How about 70?
So we spend give me 70.
Okay, is that the same ticket?
Yes, 118.
Yeah, so I got a $105 discount, and I was feeling pretty good about myself until I learned later that the promoters decided to paper the joint Florida Panther style in order to save face, which is to say that some game day tickets were selling for as low as $7. And yet, even with that discount, I was very surprised by how many people attended this event disguised as empty seats. Anyhow, I have been waiting more than half a century to see the Toronto Maple Leafs win a Stanley Cup. Since 1999, the Leafs have played their home games out of the Air Canada Centre, now known as the Scotiabank Arena. But for me, I've always referred to this playpen as the sadness factory. And in this regard, the Clintons did not veer from the tragic script. For starters, Bill decided to blame Brexit on Britain's version of the deplorables.
If you look at the Brexit vote, and these people in rural England and rural Wales griping about Polish workers, UK might not be here today if it hadn't been for the Poles helping in World War II.
Yeah, damn those rural anti-Polish Welshmen and Englishmen. They've blown it for everybody. Now, time for a little fake news by ex-Liberal Frank McKenna, who noted at one stage that he plays golf with Mr. Clinton. So how's that for being an impartial moderator?
You presided over the longest period of economic prosperity since the Second World War, created 22 million jobs during your time in office. But what's really intriguing is that you actually produced surpluses and paid down the debt during your time in office.
Let's be frank, Frank. What you just stated was an urban myth. As the Cato Institute noted in October 1998, quote, "Let us establish one point definitively. Bill Clinton didn't balance the budget. Yes, he was there when it happened, but the record shows that was about the extent of his contribution. Newt Gingrich and company, for all their faults, have received virtually no credit for balancing the budget, yet today's surplus is, in part, a byproduct of the GOP's single-minded crusade to end 30 years of red ink," end quote. Moving on, regarding the assassination of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, McKenna asked Hillary what sort of advice she would offer the current administration in terms of dealing with this gruesome scandal. And all joking aside, folks, I think her answer borders on libel.
Well, I don't think the current administration is interested in hearing from anyone on the outside, anyone with experience in what is always a balancing of interests. But what's unique about what's going on now is there isn't any balancing going on, Frank. We have a president who is part of the cover-up as to what happened in that consulate or embassy when Mr. Khashoggi was murdered.
Yeah, so President Trump is essentially an accessory to murder? One word, Hillary, Benghazi. Then Hillary weighed in by lamenting that Trump ripped up the horrible Iranian nuclear deal that was implemented by the Obama administration, of which she was part of course.
And we ended up with a deal. And the deal didn't do everything. You know, people always say, well, what about Iran's aggression, and what about, you know, their missile program? Absolute problems. I am with you on that. But the most serious problem, the one we addressed, was Iran pursuing a nuclear weapon capability. And we were able to put a lid on their nuclear weapons program. Now, you know, Trump governs, well, he said today that, you know, his gut, in his opinion, is a lot smarter than most people's brains. So, I mean, literally, you can't make this stuff up.
Did that sound a little bit like fat shaming there, by the way? But when it comes to deal making in Hillary's worldview, I guess the Russians got the better part of the bargain when the US bought Alaska for $7.21 million in 1867. Naturally, Hillary also condemned Trump for pulling out of another rancid deal.
He pulled out of an agreement that was working, just like he pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. We are now the only country in the world not in the Paris Climate Agreement. And, you know, for him to do these kinds of things, or to, as you say, renegotiate NAFTA to the point of putting a new name on it and not much else, you know, at some point, the emperor has no clothes. I mean, people begin to see that this doesn't make sense. There's no real substance behind it. And I think the midterm elections began to demonstrate that, given a chance, you know, American voters are, you know, going to, you know, vote with facts and reason and evidence, which is comforting.
And she thinks Americans in 2020 will vote next time for those progressives who will nail them with higher taxes so that the U.S. will be able to fulfill its Paris Climate Change Accord obligations. And she actually wonders why she lost the 2016 election. Wow. Later, after McKenna outrageously gave Bill Clinton credit for ending the violence in Northern Ireland, and then fretted that violence might return to Ireland due to Brexit. And no, folks, I'm not making any of this up. Bill's golfing buddy had this whopper to say regarding Canadian unity circa 1995.
And you came to Canada, or you entered the debate in Canada 5 days before our referendum battle, and by all accounts, changed the results so that we ended up keeping our country together. And we'll forever, ever be grateful to you for that.
Holy Captain Canuck, Batman. Bill Clinton saved Canada? How did I miss that story some 23 years ago? McKenna concluded the evening with a softball query regarding how the Clintons first met. Golly, you would have thought Bill was reading the screenplay for Love Story in his answer. It's too painful to watch, folks, so let's skip the video on that one. But my jaw was dropping at this point. Isn't this the guy who had trouble keeping his fly zipped while in the Oval Office? And what about that little thing regarding a certain intern in a stained blue dress that actually led to Clinton's impeachment in 1998? Hello? Anyone? But at the Scotiabank Arena on this night, this venue resembled a line from the song Home on the Range, you know, where seldom is heard a discouraging word. Indeed, I looked around at some of the young women in attendance. They were gushing at the details pertaining to the sanitized version of Billy Meets Hillary. Hey ladies, that's no chick flick, more like something out of Monster Chiller horror theater. But they appeared to have drunk the Democrat-branded Kool-Aid. In the final analysis, the Clinton shindig resembled the title of a Roger Ebert book about awful movies, namely A Horrible Experience of Unbearable Length. And when the house lights mercifully flickered on, I bolted from my seat, making certain I was donning my beloved MAGA hat. Oh, I received some nasty looks, let me tell you. But at least I left the Scotiabank Arena with a clear conscience. For the Rebel.Media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. It seems that everyone wants to communicate by texting these days. The problem is, people just assume they can text any number and the text will be received. But what if the intended recipient never got that text? This can lead to bad customer relations and lost business. Now you can make any number a textable number. Introducing Unite's Text Me. Unite's Text Me allows you to receive text messages on your business number, even if it's an old-style landline, and you can even respond back to those texts. For more information, visit www.textmeanywhere.com. That's www.textmeanywhere.com, or simply text 866-864-8363.